Okay, call the meeting, a regular council meeting for the corporation of the town of Cobalt on February 20th, 2024 to order at 6:30 p.m. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Any? No. Public meetings? None. Deputations, delegations. 4.1, the Cobalt Public Library, the 2024 budget. And we have Mary Church and Molly Ward. Would you like to come up to the table?
Sure.
We received your budget. It's in our council package. Does anybody want to start off? Any questions? Okay. I guess I have a bit of a concern. I don't see that your budget's balanced.
Well, I didn't put the budget together, and I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, your income doesn't cover your expenses.
Yes, we know that. We know that. Yeah. All I can say is that we are hoping to do a little bit of fundraising, and we have put our fundraising down at I think $500, but we are hoping to make a little bit more than that fundraising, and hopefully that will cover the difference. But all I can say is that the lady that does the bookkeeping for us has set it at $500 for the time being. And what else can I say?
Okay. And is there any area that we could possibly, or that the library could possibly cut back in to bring the expenses down a little bit more? I'm not sure. What are book coverings? Actually, could you explain that to me?
Coverings are the clear plastic that's applied to the outside of the book, so that it doesn't, so that the book itself isn't destroyed. It allows us to put some coating on it, and just generally it preserves the book.
So that was one question I did have.
And it is expensive. We know that.
And is there a less expensive alternative?
Not that we're aware of, unless we use paper, brown paper, and that's not acceptable to us.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Pat? Angela? Doug? Okay.
I guess it's more of a comment that we haven't done our own budget yet. So we're not committing entirely to the 25,000 that's budgeted. But I guess that's the request.
And that makes sense because we haven't struck our budget yet, so. And hopefully by the time we've struck our budget, the library will have a better idea of what fundraising they're going to do in the future.
Yes.
And have a more realistic number. Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the information. Okay, next we have the Cobalt Fire Department, Chief Fern, for our fire truck discussion.
Good evening. Your worship, council, staff. Good, thanks. The NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, developed a set of standards for fire safety equipment and procedures. Why is fire safety important? It's preservation of life. Implementing measures helps protect individuals from harm and ensures their well-being. Protection of property. By following fire safety protocols, the risk of property loss and destruction can be minimized, potentially saving valuable assets and investments. NFPA 11 is applicable to any public or private organization that uses fire apparatus. NFPA 1911 helps ensure fire service apparatus are serviced and maintained to keep them in safe operating condition and ready to respond at all times. The standard defines the minimum requirements of establishing an inspection, maintenance, and testing program for in-service apparatus. The standard includes guidelines for fire apparatus refurbishment and retirement. The standard identifies the standard includes guidelines for fire apparatus refurbishment. The standard identifies the system and items on a fire apparatus that are to be inspected and maintained. The frequency of such inspections and maintenance and requirements and procedures for conducting performance tests on components. I just pulled chapter 5. I believe Steve has given you the entire NFPA, which I believe is 26 chapters. I'm just going to cover 5 because it talks about the retirement of apparatus. The Fire Writers Underwriter Survey has published a document ensuring greater recognition of used and rebuilt fire apparatus. In summary, apparatuses are built to be applicable ULC S515 or NFPA 1901 standards. Apparatus should respond to the first alarms for the first 15 years, for the next 5 years being reserved status for the use of major fires or as temporary replacement for out-of-service first-line apparatus. Be retired at 20 years of age unless the apparatus meets the recommended annual service and accepted level test that is indeed in excellent mechanical condition. Testing includes weight, road, and pump performance tests. Testing and maintenance only be completed by a qualified technician, and a letter from the Fire Underwriter Survey has also been provided to the town. I believe Steve has shared that with you as well. I'm just there seems to be a bit of a disconnect with the fire department and council. If you can bear with me, I've got a little letter that I wrote to council just explaining what the fire department does in the community. The Cobalt Fire Department operates with a fire chief, a deputy chief, 4 captains, 1 fire prevention officer, and 16 firefighters. In my 33 years of fire service, I'm proud to say that the team we have now is by far the most experienced and trained we ever had. The Cobalt Fire Department responds to all fires, rescues, car accidents, train derailments, and natural disasters. In 2010, the Cobalt Fire Department decided to add tiered response medical calls to their portfolio. Heart and stroke was given municipalities defibrillators at that time, but unfortunately the fire department didn't qualify for one. That didn't stop us. We decided to fundraise and purchase a unit along with other medical supplies so we could offer this service. The Cobalt Fire Department also has been active in the community, assisting with Halloween patrol, Remembrance Day ceremonies, July 1st parade and celebrations, Family Day skate, Santa Claus train, and has recently completed a door-to-door smoke alarm campaign and take part in shared radio advertising and social media campaigns promoting fire prevention. Just cost, just bear with me, but on the Sunshine List, North Bay, 12 of the first 20 members of the fire department, each making over an average of $140,000. North Bay has 72 full-time firefighters. In Sudbury, 16 of the first 25 on the Sunshine List with an average salary of over $200,000 each. Sudbury has 112 full-time firefighters. The Cobalt Fire Department budget for 2023 was $94,473, which includes payroll, benefits, utilities, cleaning, new equipment, communications, travel, repairs, insurance, and other services. Contracting fire service out to a neighboring community can be expensive, and all the extras that require will drive up the cost even further. Depending on the distance from the Fire Underwriter Survey rates, will still be affected, and response time to emergencies will easily triple, resulting in increased loss to homeowners during a structure fire and less chance of saving somebody that is trapped. We will also lose the medical calls that is offered now, and the community assistance the fire department offers will be lost. The town of Cobalt is getting a great deal to provide fire service to the community. but to be able to provide a service to the community, we require the appropriate equipment to do so. The last new truck purchased by the town of Cobalt was 50 years ago. Operating with one 30-year-old fire truck is putting firefighters at risk and the community as well. That's why I'm asking the town to move forward with the purchase of a new truck. It's not how can we afford it, it should be how can we afford not to. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. And I agree with everything you've said to council. We do need a fire truck. That's never been in question. It's right now our biggest question is how are we going to fund our fire truck? Because that's a very big hit to the budget and our ratepayers are going to see it. And we know that past experience has taught us that we're going to have some very vocal outcry about an increase, no matter what the reason. And this is a valid reason. So we're trying to minimize that impact as much as possible. That being said, we would like to see, I would like to see, I don't know about the rest of council, I'm only speaking for myself at this point, some increased fundraising by the fire department. One fundraiser a year, I don't think is going to cut it, given the price of the fire truck, because not only are we looking at one fire truck, we're probably, we eventually have to look at a second fire truck in the near future as well.
So, I mean, we've already raised 20,000. We'll try and help out as best we can. I guess the point I would like to make is when you need a new snowplow or a half-ton truck, you ask Public Works full-time staff to go out and fundraise for the equipment that they're needed, or do we ask the office staff to fundraise when they need paper and pens and computers? And we'll do the best we can, but I don't want to hold a gun to our firefighters' head and say, hey, we have to raise so much. We've been fundraising for years. We've fundraised $13,000 to purchase new helmets. We continue to fundraise. I just don't want to make it go back to the fire department and say, hey, we have to fundraise and we have to raise $15,000 or $20,000 a year. I think it's the municipality's responsibility to purchase the equipment. Any specialty stuff will definitely go out of our way to fundraise for, but as far as fire trucks, I will try and help, but I don't want to hold a gun to the guy's head.
Okay, and I can appreciate that, but I would also like to point out to rebut that every other fire department in the area and further and beyond continually fundraises when it's a volunteer fire department. Huntsville fundraises, Temiskaming Shores continually fundraises, Cobalt or Coleman continually fundraises, and so does Letchford. So I think what council is asking, or as the mayor, what I'm asking, is not out of the realm of possibility. I get that you don't want to hold a gun to anybody's head, but the added benefit to some additional fundraising is then it brings the fire department more into the community as well, and it allows the community to assist rather than us just hitting the ratepayers with a tax increase to cover increased costs.
And that's fair enough. And I just to point out, I did contact Steve to give me a contact for the guy in Huntsville. I do have an email I can share it with you, and he said the same thing, that they don't fundraise for fire trucks, but they fundraise for specialty equipment. Temiskaming Shores fundraise, they fundraise for 4x4 for bush, but they don't fundraise for fire trucks.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it for the fire department to fundraise for the fire truck. I would just like to see the fire department become more in the eye of the community and see a bit more fundraising. And if it does assist with the fire truck, great, but I don't expect the fire department to raise the funds for the truck. Okay?
Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, I just don't want to go back and tell the guys. I don't want to have to tell them what they have to do. So
Yeah.
Especially when it's volunteer.
Okay. And that also being said, I would like the fire department to entertain the possibility of maybe doing an open house once a year. that is promoted to allow the public to get more of an idea of our fire truck and bring it in, refresh their minds, their memories of who our firefighters are, what all's involved with everything that you do, the equipment that's involved.
For sure. I've actually suggested to Steve that it'd be nice to actually have council go through the fire hall and do it too and see what's involved.
Yeah. And that's great. I didn't know we did it on the last term of council. And I'd like to see the public be able to do the same thing, because I think it's important. Because it's not us versus them, it's we're a group.
We're a team. We talked about that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. And again, I don't dispute that we need a truck. We need a truck, and yeah, sooner rather than later. It's right now we're trying to get the budget struck, and we're looking at financing and how we can get this and get it as soon as we can. Okay. I don't think any one of us refute that. Any other comments? Angela?
So it's a question. So our newest fire truck is 30 years old, and I'm looking at the schedule of service for fire apparatus for the insurance grading purposes, and 30 plus years gets no credit in grading. So does that mean that even our newest fire truck has to be replaced? And for us to maintain our insurance, like, do we have to have a secondary? And if so, then the 30-year-old one doesn't count. So we should be looking at that 21-year-old truck that's $35,000 online as well.
Well, I would actually start by getting the first line of defense is your pumper that's new, or and then go from there. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how the grading works, but I'm sure you get credit for the newer truck, and then your second one, I think Steve, you looked into it with the insurance company. So,
Your worship, you want to speak on this?
Yeah.
I contacted the municipal insurer on here. For your primary, definitely ideal age to replace a fire apparatus is 15 years in accordance with the technical bulletin. That's with the firefighters underwriters survey. 100% credit could be obtained up to 20 years of age, and depending on the size of a municipality community fire protection service area, they can request a potential extension of credit past 20 years and age up to a maximum of 30 years. So our newest one is a 1994. Well, we hit 30 years this year, 2024. So that puts us out of the grading completely. So
I guess my question is, do we need a second one? If we're not going to get our grading, if we're not even going to continue to qualify for an insurance level that we're fighting so much for, without a second one, like, so I need to know if we need a second one. Otherwise, we're buying a first one new, which is great, but if it's not going to get us the insurance thing, which is what everyone's crying about, we just need to know if that's going to be enough or not.
well, you'll definitely get your grading with a new truck. I mean, it's very hard to operate a fire department with one truck. You get a breakdown or a truck doesn't start, especially if it's 30 years old, it's quite possible. We actually had the old truck out the other day and it wouldn't start, and thank God Steve was there and he got it going. So, I mean, it can happen easily. So yeah, for sure, you're going to get some insurance grading with a newer truck.
I think she was kind of asking if the truck that we use now, the good truck or the best truck, is a secondary truck, or if that's no good for secondary either now.
Well, it's good for secondary truck as long as it keeps passing the test.
That's not what the table says.
That's for the primary, but since it's your secondary vehicle, as long as it's passing the testing, it will still be. But again, our grading is based on the primary.
The table specifically addresses primary and secondary, and you get no grading if your truck is over 30 years old. For primary or secondary. Secondary is only up to 29.
Well, I think at this point we have to concentrate on a primary truck, and then we'll turn our focus to a secondary.
But is the primary truck going to achieve the goal of getting the grading you want for the insurance purposes? If our secondary truck is over 30
Yes.
years old.
The consensus seems to be yes from the fire chief and from the town manager, from all the information that they've gathered. Councillor Anderson, you had a question as well?
Yes, when we order a new fire truck, how long do we have to wait for it to arrive?
Well, the last company we dealt with, we'd actually met executive and created a truck committee. I believe it was 2 to 3 months, if it was still available. I'm not sure how long that
Okay,
and what we're actually doing is just getting like it's not like a specialty pump or anything. It's just like a kind of basically a run of the mill truck with no fancy stuff, because then you're getting into close to $700,000 to $800,000.
Okay, and I also received, all of council received an email from a gentleman as well. The beginning of the week or last week? Last week. About working with the town to see if there were any other options out there as well. Was Sean included in that email? Okay, and I'd like to share that with you as well, Sean.
Okay.
And then maybe we can have a conversation with this gentleman and see if he has any other ideas as well. He's out of Woodstock, I believe is where he was out of. He just reached out to us, so. So if we can get Steve to forward that email to us, and then we can talk. Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
Chief Ern, the one fire truck that you did request, that has not changed?
No.
That one, okay.
Yeah.
1 second. So should we go ahead and reserve this truck before it's sold out from under us? We have to buy one no matter what, so we might as well reserve the one that's gonna be available in 2 or 3 months. Instead of letting it slip through our fingers and having to wait another year, and we all get hit with huge insurance premiums.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at what happens if we reserve it, and, well, I guess we'll have to pull the funding together. But that's gonna, I'd just like everybody to be aware this is gonna definitely have an impact on our budget and an impact on our ratepayers. Either way, it's gonna be an impact on our ratepayers, either in fire protection or in dollars. So,
no way around it.
yeah, there's no way to sugarcoat it, and there's no way around it. I think we're all now more educated on NFPA standards and fire underwriters. I know I definitely am. I guess I'm just a little disappointed that the fire underwriter standards are a lot stricter than the NFPA standards. And this is something I've raised with MPs and ministers whenever I run into them at different events. I know we've got a positive email from John Vantoff, a copy of a letter he sent to the Solicitor General. Because Cobalt's kind of in a unique situation. We're landlocked. We can't increase our tax base. So the only way to raise additional dollars is through tax increases. So, which puts a burden on everybody. So, what is the, Councilor Wilcox?
Forgot to mute. Unmute. I appreciate all of the concerns that are being expressed tonight, but I think really the matter before us is very clear. We need a new fire truck. The new fire truck will give us the insurance rating we need to make sure all of our residents don't see huge increases in their insurance rates. And from the information we've gotten, it's not less than 25% or more, which is a significant blow to anybody and everybody in the town. I think Harry's point that, we've looked at a number of trucks and we've lost them as they got purchased by other communities. We have one on tap. It's expensive, but it fills the bill and we need it. So I would like to see us reserve it immediately and get going on this issue. Like, we can keep kicking down the road indefinitely until we end up no longer having enough time to do anything or not being able to get one. And then we're paying money to insurance companies instead of on paying off our fire truck. That doesn't make any sense to me either. So I think, please, let's get on with it. I mean, let's not kick the can down the road any farther. Let's buy the damn truck.
Mhm.
Okay, well, you kind of took the words out of my mouth because I was just gonna ask what council's decision was, and I was gonna go around the table. So, we heard from Councilor Wilcox, we've heard from Councilor Cooper, Councilor Starchuck.
Definitely need a new fire truck. I said this a couple months back.
Okay, Councilor
There wasn't a
Hughes
choice. Yeah, I agree. We need one.
and Councilor Hunter.
We don't necessarily need a brand new one, but I realize that that is what is available. And it seems like with buying 10-year-old ones, it wasn't really a savings in price overall. So I guess a new one is fine. I'm very concerned about the diesel engines needing to be run a lot in order for the filters to work properly and for them maintenance. But I guess let's see how it goes. And the guarantee from everyone is that we don't also need another secondary replacement right away. And that is actually going to be sufficient to meet our insurance ratings. So I'm holding you to that.
You can hold us to it, but the bottom line is we need a primary fire truck, so.
Yeah.
And we can't afford 2 fire trucks at this point. We're having a hard time affording 1 fire truck.
Yeah. So the only reason we're buying one that's new is for the insurance rating instead of the 21-year-old one that would still work.
No, the
So
21-year-old,
the insurance rating better be satisfied with this
the
one truck.
21-year-old couldn't be our primary truck
Mhm.
instead of the primary truck range.
Only for the insurance rating. So the new one better be sufficient, even though we don't have a secondary one that's under 30.
Chief Hearn?
And I think that's why you see so many 20-year-old trucks that are available, because municipalities are flipping them over after 20 years because of the insurance ratings. That's why you hardly ever see a 10-year-old truck. You'll see 20 or older because that's what they're doing. They're flipping it over to purchase a new truck to be their primary. And that's why there's so many 20-year-old trucks available. Unfortunately, 20 years old, you're running into lots of problems. And now, I mean, we've seen on some of the auction sites, you know, they start out at 5,000 and they end up going for 140 or 150,000 dollars. It's not a cheap investment.
Councilor
I
Starchuck?
was just gonna make a comment on Councillor Hunter's about the diesel engines have to be run a certain amount. I just wondering if you meant the regen, are you talking about doing diesels having to do a regen? Is that-
I'm not a mechanic, so I don't understand all the vocabulary. I've just been told that they need to be run a lot more often than Cobalt has fires.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Is that true?
Mind if I have
Nope, go
Deputy
right
Chief
ahead.
Cooper, Steve, you want to talk? And maybe Steve's a heavy-duty mechanic. I'm sure he can enlighten us on.
So the diesel regen on an emergency vehicle can be deleted. Most of them are deleted at the factory because you can't have that truck going and do regen during an emergency. So on emergency vehicles, it can be deleted. And it's still legal.
So a diesel engine is appropriate then for.
And those regen issues are usually when you get high mileage on them. But you're not gonna get excessive mileage on it.
Definitely not.
So is diesel the way you guys wanna go, or is gas?
Diesel's the only option.
Diesel is the only option, okay, all right, that's good to know.
That answer your question, Councilor Hunter?
That it was more of a concern than a question that
Okay.
there's a lot of maintenance involved if you're not running it sufficiently.
Okay. I think that goes with any vehicle, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. Our fire department doesn't get numerous calls in a day, so our fire equipment doesn't get a lot of mileage on it. But that's where, I know when you have your meetings, you usually take out the trucks and, yeah.
The mechanic takes it out, and then if we average 20, 25 calls for 6 months, then it gets out a fair bit. It's not a lot of mileage because your municipality is, you're not running 10 kilometers to the end of the municipality, so.
Okay, Councillor Anderson?
Just from a budgeting standpoint, buying a used one that would only have 9 years more life just passes on the cost 9 years down the road that we do another one and another one. How many 9 years do we get for the cost of a brand new one that's going to last the whole time? You know, like buying a brand new one solves the problem for quite a few years. And hopefully we're in great financial shape the next time we have to buy a new one. Or that they have changed, you know, the standards and everything to factor in small communities with low mileage and low use, because that's where the problem lies. So it's like, yes, we've got to get a new one, and let's get on it before that one disappears on us and we have to wait months and months and months.
So in answer to your concern, Councillor Cooper, I think the consensus of council is to go ahead and reserve the truck.
Yes.
And then we have to decide on the financing. And we'll have to do a motion on that.
I suggest at least we maybe call tomorrow and see if they only have one or if they have multiples or what. But definitely move on it.
Now, can we do a motion on that?
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Sarchuk?
Yeah, with this new fire truck, are we able to help out the other communities, the surrounding communities?
For sure. And you can do it with, but you can look to as well.
And in light of how low of a snowfall we've had this year and the predictions of the NRF, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, they're predicting a higher fire season than even last year. So I think this is definitely something that is going to be a concern this year, given the placement of cobalt and all our natural beauty. Okay, Councillor Wilcox?
I'm just wondering, Your Worship, if I could make a motion that we proceed with the offer to purchase the truck that we've been priced, and you know, get a seconder and let's vote it.
Yeah, I've already confirmed with the town manager. We're going to bring a motion forward after the adoption of the meeting agenda.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
We're going to do it where? Okay, yeah, we're going to have to do a waiver of procedure, and then we'll bring it in at 7.9 on the agenda. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate your
Thanks,
time.
guys.
And,
Thanks, guys.
I'll be in touch. Okay, adoption of meeting agenda, draft motion. Be it resolved, the council approve the agenda of the regular meeting dated February 20th, 2024. Yeah.
Can I have an amendment to the adoption of the meeting agenda?
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, a request, a correction to item number 6, the adoption of previous council minutes. The regular meeting to read January 23rd, 2024, not January 24th, 2024.
Okay. And second?
Also, draft motion to waive procedure, put a draft motion in for 7.9. Be it resolved that council instruct staff
We need a motion to waive procedure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've already tabled the motion to adopt the agenda, so we have to proceed with that before we waive procedure.
Yes.
I believe. as opposed
Bring it through in here. To bring us through and have this moved
to.
down here. We are introducing.
Yeah, no,
the
but we
resolution.
have to wait.
Yes. That is correct.
Do we have a motion to waive procedure? Okay, so, I'd like to make a motion to procedure to change the date for the meeting and to add 7.9 to the agenda. The motion for the fire truck. So I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Cooper, Councillor Starchuk, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Adoption of previous council minutes, draft motion, be it resolved that council approve the following minutes as presented. Regular meeting, January 23rd, 2024. Committee of the whole meeting, February 6th, 2024. Need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Hughes, Councillor Anderson. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay. 7.1, or sorry, items for council consideration, 7.1, Temiskaming Municipal Services Association, TMSA, planner opt-in, draft motion. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Cobalt will opt into the Temiskaming Municipal Services Association, TMSA, expansion of a municipal planner. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Cooper, Councillor Starchuk, any discussion? None? Okay. All in favor? Okay, carried. 7.2, notice of motion. Councillor Wilcox, staff report 2024-02-2001. Draft motion. Whereas pursuant to procedural bylaw 2022-25, article 6.3.5, closed meeting materials shall be provided to council in confidence no later than 24 hours before the hour appointed for holding of such meeting. And whereas pursuant to the procedural bylaw 2022-25, article 6.3.6, only closed meeting materials related to human resources may be handed out at the table, must be printed on colored paper and returned to the clerk immediately following the meeting. Now therefore be it resolved, all closed meeting materials not related to human resources be provided to council with the regular meeting package of materials. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Cooper, Councillor Wilcox. Discussion. Councillor Cooper.
This is already in the procedural bylaw, so why are we discussing it? We should just be following the procedural bylaw to the letter. Should be no varying from that whatsoever.
I do have a concern. I think I would like to have a legal opinion on this for the protection of the municipality, because all it takes is once for it to get out, and it's council and staff that is on the hook for that.
Well, we've already sworn an oath, so.
I know we've sworn an oath, but again, I'd like a legal opinion on it, because this leaves the municipality open for a lot of liability issues. Councillor Anderson?
I'll restate what I said before, that if we're going to do this and you get it 24 hours in advance, that you come into the town office to sit down and read it with no camera or telephone in there. So there's no option to take a picture of it, because we may be good, but someone else may not be down the line. And then it's returned. And that provides just that extra little level of security that I'd like to see on it.
Councillor Wilcox?
I would like to note that the procedural bylaw was written by John Hodson, several years experience as a CAO rather, some of that with the town of Cobalt. And that was obviously his recommendation. He put it in our procedural bylaw. I also had a chat with Chris Osland, currently with Coleman Township, previously with Temiskaming Shores and Haleybury, decades of experience. And he too acknowledges that always they have given materials for closed meetings well in advance of the actual meeting so that councillors had an opportunity to become comfortable and aware of the material and do whatever research or whatever else they needed to do to be comfortable with what they were going to say in the actual meeting itself. It gives everyone an opportunity to understand the consequences of what might happen and the benefits of what might happen. And if we just rush willy-nilly into a closed session meeting, take 10 minutes to read 8 emails from different people, and then think we're going to come to some kind of a meaningful conclusion, I think is absolutely irresponsible. People need to know. I'm sorry that I hear a lack of trust in counselors coming out of this discussion, and I really feel sorry that that's the case. We have all taken our oaths. We all understand what we're here to do. And if we can't be trusted, who can? But I think it is more important that we be trusted to arrive at sound judgments rather than the security of the individual documents for whatever period of time. We're not here to worry about security per se. I'm here to worry about making the best decisions for the community. And for that, we need to have awareness and knowledge of what it is we're discussing and voting on.
Okay, and again, I'm going to reiterate that I would like to have a legal opinion on this because all it takes is once. I'm not saying there's a lack of trust. Accidents happen. Things can be revealed in doing research ahead of time. I talked to the wrong person, contact the wrong person. Next thing you know, it's out there. We know we've had this problem in the last term of council with closed meeting material getting out to the public that shouldn't have gotten out there. So it does happen. And this, again, opens the municipality to liability and liability issues. And this is after a discussion with municipal affairs as well as other individuals on what the practice is for closed meetings. That I'm making the recommendation to get a legal opinion before we move forward with this. Because I, for one, am not comfortable with it. And it's not a matter of lack of trust. Anything can happen. Okay?
Which means you might all trust us to be careful.
It's not just the counselors that play. There's who's in your house. If you have a car accident, you have papers in your car. If something happens in your house and you have a contractor come in, you forget to turn a paper over. There's all kinds of scenarios. It has nothing to do with lack of trust in counselors. Absolutely nothing. Things happen. Life happens. And they're closed materials for a reason. Otherwise, why are they closed? We may as well put them in open and include them in the agenda.
I agree.
So I'd like to go around the table and find out if, or we can take a vote on this and have it turned down, or we can defer this until we get a legal opinion. Councillor Hughes.
I'm fine with deferring till you can get a legal opinion, make you more comfortable.
Councillor Starchuk.
I'd like to second that. too. Proper.
Okay.
Let's get the opinion then.
Okay, we're going to defer and get a legal opinion on this.
Mhm. That's what I'd like.
I'd rather see us be careful right from the outset and make sure we're making the right decision going forward, because this isn't just affecting our term of council. This is something that's going to be in play for future terms of council.
This council can override it.
They could.
Mhm.
Okay, 7.3, Temiskaming Shores. Do we continue? 7.3, Temiskaming Shores and Area Condition Recruitment and Retention Initiative, letter for 5-year commitment. Draft motion. Be it resolved that the town of Cobalt will continue to support the Temiskaming Shores an area recruitment and retention initiative with an annual contribution of $2,967 over a 5-year period. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Hughes? Councillor Wilcox? I think we lost Councillor Anderson. Any discussion?
I'm back.
Any discussion on 7.3? Okay, all in favor?
Yep.
Okay, carried. Seven point four, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, resolution. Promote stability of municipal finances. I'm sorry, I have to take a drink of water before I read this one. Draft motion, whereas current provincial municipal fiscal arrangements are undermining Ontario's economic prosperity and quality of life, whereas nearly a third of municipal spending in Ontario is for services in areas of provincial responsibility and expenditures are outpacing provincial contributions by nearly $4 billion a year, whereas municipal revenues such as property taxes do not grow with the economy or inflation, whereas unprecedented population and housing growth will require significant investment in municipal infrastructure, whereas municipalities are being asked to take on complex health and social challenges like homelessness, supporting asylum seekers, and addressing the mental health addiction crisis, whereas inflation, rising costs of interest rates, and provincial policy decisions are sharply constraining municipal fiscal capacity, whereas property taxpayers, including people on fixed incomes and small businesses, can't afford to subsidize income redistribution program for those most in need, whereas the province can and should invest more in the prosperity of communities, and whereas municipalities and the provincial government have a strong history of collaboration, now therefore be it resolved that the province of Ontario commit to undertaking with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario a comprehensive social and economic prosperity review to promote the stability and sustainability of municipal finances across Ontario. And further, that this resolution be directed to the Premier of Ontario, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Starchuk and Councillor Anderson. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? And carried. 7.5, Cobalt Public Library Board Member Appointment, draft motion. Whereas as a result of 2 vacant seats on the Cobalt Public Library Board, council advertised for interested persons to apply to fill the vacancies. And whereas 1 application was received by the deadline of January 26, 2024, now therefore be it resolved that Catherine Lafoy be appointed to the Cobalt Public Library Board. And further, that the town of Cobalt continue advertising to fill the vacancy with a deadline of March 22nd, 2024 at noon. Need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Wilcox, Councillor Anderson, any discussion? I just like to say welcome aboard, Catherine Lafoy. All in favor? Carried. Seven point 6, Cobalt Day, December 29th. Draft motion, be it resolved that December 29th will be recognized as Cobalt Day as proposed by Councillor Anderson. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Starchuk and Councillor Hughes. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Are we there yet? I'm not there yet. Wait, well, in the discussion, you can ask a question. Yeah, hang on. No, hang on. Draft motion, be it resolved that Councillor 7.7 negotiating committee appointment, draft motion. Be it resolved that Councillor Hughes and Councillor Starchuk be appointed to the 2024 QP Collective Negotiating Committee along with the town manager. We need to amend this motion. Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Wilcox, Councillor Cooper and Councillor Hughes. It's come to our attention that actually Councillor Hughes cannot be as part of the committee, so we need to amend the motion and appoint somebody else. Nobody? Councillor Anderson? Councillor Hunter?
I could.
Okay,
I'll second Pat's nomination.
I'll take that as a no for Councillor Hunter. Okay, so is council okay if we amend the motion to say Councillor Anderson and Councillor Starchuk as to be appointed? Okay. Okay, so draft motion, be it resolved that Councillor Anderson and Councillor Starchuk be appointed to the 2024 QP Collective Agreement Negotiating Committee along with the town manager. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Cooper, Councillor Starchuk. Any discussion?
That was Councillor Hughes.
I'm sorry, Councillor Hughes. I did it again. I apologize, Councillor Starchuk and Councillor Hughes. Okay. All in favor?
Question first.
Oh, yes.
Shouldn't I be sitting out of this since my name's involved? I can't vote for myself. I know I can't vote for myself.
Yes, you can.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can because it's not a pecuniary interest.
They're not paying you, so they're good to go.
Oh, darn.
Okay, so all in favor? Okay, carried. 7.8, frequency of meetings, draft motion, whereas at the committee of the whole meeting on February 6, 2024, council received staff report 2024-02-06-04 with the recommendation to pause committee of the whole meetings with the effect of having a regular council meeting once every 4 weeks. And whereas pursuant to section 6.3.1 of the procedural bylaw 2022-25, that public notice of meetings shall be given by posting the meeting schedule as per the term of council, calendar as adopted by council. Be it resolved that council adopt the following term of council calendar for 2024 with a reevaluation of the frequency of meetings in 1 year. March 2025. April 2nd, 2024, April 30th, 2024, May 28th, 2024, June 25th, 2024, July 23rd, 2024, August 20th, 2024, September 17th, 2024, October 15th, 2024, November 12th, 2024, December 10th, 2024, January 7th, 2025, February 4th, 2025, March 4th, 2025, and further that the term of council calendar be posted on the town's official website. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Hughes. Second, Councillor Starchuk. Any discussion? Councillor Anderson.
Every 4 weeks, is good for the staff and everything. My only thought in the email I sent saying that maybe we should set it like for the first Tuesday of the month was just it makes it easier for our residents to remember when a meeting is if they want to attend, instead of asking, having to ask around or go online. Not all of them go online, that kind of thing. So it's like, it would make a date that was more meaningful in there for them. But other than that, I like having more time for staff to be able to prepare and do the work for us. I think that's good.
I see another hand up. Councillor Wilcox?
Thank you, Your Worship. From my comments in our last meeting when we were discussing this, I am entirely opposed to this proposal. To me, committee of the whole meetings are a critical part of good governance in Cobalt. They provide an opportunity for council to discuss things, to scrutinize things, to explore and develop the best possible solutions for our community. It allows for members of our community to provide feedback on proposals. Having that pause between a committee of the whole and a council meeting where it's being voted upon, yeah, that 2 weeks gives everybody a chance to give it sober second thoughts, and especially for our community to give us their thoughts on where we're going and whether they're happy with that kind of a direction. So it gives us time then to do further investigations, reflection, gain a greater understanding of proposals and the effects of proposals, short-term and long-term. So I think they're the best part of council's work, and I would really, really resist the idea that we should change it. As much as I appreciate staff, I think it's more important that the work of council be given every opportunity to achieve its best result.
Okay. Anybody else? Councillor Starcher?
Yeah, I was just, the reason for doing this was to give the staff more time to get the reports for us.
So that council has better information, not better information, but it gives the staff the time to give us more information when we're making a decision. And I also feel that if it's something that needs more time, that it be deferred to the next meeting, and it gives council more time to look into it. Councillor Starchuk. Or sorry, Councillor Hughes.
Look a lot of life. Yeah, any idea on what this would save, just in photocopy and paper and all that other stuff?
Probably quite a bit.
$1,000
Yeah.
Fire truck?
Yeah, like if you look at the information, for example, that was in our agenda package this week for the fire truck, that was a lot of information for staff to be pulling together. And when we have a meeting every 2 weeks, how much time is there to deal with the everyday and the day-to-day stuff when there's so much involved in pulling information together for items on the agenda? Councillor Starchuk?
I do appreciate Councillor Wilcox's point about the committee of the whole. It's a good discussion, it's a good meeting to have, but I'm trying to think of the staff as well, so it's kind of a tough decision to go to the one every 4 weeks or stay on the 2, but we know I want the staff to be happy with this and have enough time to do their job properly, right? So I'm not sure which way to go on this right now, kind of.
Councillor Hughes?
So once a month schedule like that, could we not have a meeting of a whole and then a month later the regular and then the meeting of the whole the month later?
That would take forever for us to get anything done then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think sorry, can I talk?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Hunter.
Thank you. I think I remember perhaps our lawyer or one of our advisors saying that there are other communities that have a half committee of a whole and then a half meeting like on the same night. It's really more of a designation that in this part of the meeting we're talking, we're not making decisions, and the second part we're doing decision making. So I think that will perhaps just end up happening anyways if we're doing a meeting a month or every 4 weeks, that there will be things we talk about and then we say, well, we don't have the information we need now. So whether it was a committee of a whole or not, we'll still say we're going to push it till next month to make that decision. So I guess when I started talking, I was going to propose that half and half system, but I think that is kind of semantics. We're having a meeting, we'll either make a decision or we won't. I'm willing to try for a year and review how it goes because I do think it will save several days worth of labor. If we've got 3 or 4 staff members, they're probably putting in a day of preparation for each one of our meetings. If we're having 2 meetings a month, like that, they'll, like you say, they'll be able to actually get more work done.
Mhm.
So I'd like to see if that actually does improve productivity somehow.
All right, Councillor Cooper.
So we gotta go with 4-week or once a month? If it's once a month, you're gonna have to go through all this and figure it all out again.
Yeah, I know. I would say, we'll vote on this.
Or finish in a year, I guess.
And we can always review, like we said, we're gonna reevaluate in a year. We can always change it at that
Your
point.
worship, with doing it every 4 weeks, we will have 2 extra meetings a year. If we do it once a month, we'll only be at 12. If we do it this way, we'll have 14.
Mhm.
Let's do it for 6 months.
Okay, any other discussion? Councillor Wilcox?
Could we have a recorded vote, please?
Yes, we can. I can read it. Okay, Councillor Wilcox?
Opposed?
Councillor Anderson?
4,
Councillor Cooper?
Against.
Councillor Hughes?
For.
Councillor Hunter?
4.
Councillor Starchuk?
4.
And Mayor Adsad, 4. 5 for and 2 against. And carried. Sorry, staples covering my printing. 8 items for council. Oh, sorry, 7, I almost missed it, sorry, I apologize. 7.9 draft motion. Be it resolved that council to instruct staff to proceed with the purchase of fire truck as per the specifications provided by the fire chief. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Cooper, Councillor Starchuk. No, it was Starchuk. Yes. Okay, any discussion? No? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Number 8, items for council information. There are none. 9, bylaws and agreements. 9.1, bylaw 2024-06 to regulate smoking and vaping within the town of Cobalt. Draft motion, whereas at the committee of the whole meeting of February 6, 2024, council received staff report 2024-02-06-01 with a recommendation to adopt a smoking bylaw. Now therefore be it resolved that bylaw number 2024-06 being the bylaw to regulate smoking and vaping within the town of Cobalt be taken as read a first, second, and third time this 20th day of February 2024, and further that the said bylaw be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Hughes, Councillor Starchuk, any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Carried. 9.2, bylaw 2024-07, amendment number 2 to procedural bylaw 2022-25. Draft motion, whereas at the committee of the whole meeting on February 6, 2024, council received staff report 2024-02-06 2025-06-04 with the recommendation to pause committee of the whole meetings with the effect of having a regular council meeting once every 4 weeks. And whereas staff reports are only presented at the committee of the whole meeting as per section 6.1 and 6.2 of the procedural bylaw 2022-25, which outlines the order of business for both regular council meetings and committee of the whole meetings. Now therefore be it resolved that the bylaw number 2024-07 being a bylaw to amend section 6.1.1 of procedural bylaw 2022-25 to include staff reports on the schedule of meetings, order of business, regular council meeting, be taken as read a first, second, and third time this 20th day of February 2024, and further that the said bylaw be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Hughes. Seconder. Nobody gonna second the motion? No?
Can't you second the motion? I'll second.
Councillor Hunter? Any discussion? Councillor Wilcox?
Recorded vote, please.
Okay, Councillor Wilcox?
Opposed?
No, this is the bylaw part. Councillor Anderson?
For,
Councillor Cooper? Councillor Hughes?
For.
Councillor Hunter?
4.
Councillor Starchuk?
For.
Mayor Adsad? 4. Carry. Oh, 5-2 is the count. 5-4, 2 against, and carried. 10, unfinished business, there is none. 11, new business. 11.1.1, schedule of accounts. Draft motion, be it resolved that council receives the following schedules as presented. Schedule number 2024-02 in the amount of $335,043.32. Schedule number 2024-03 in the amount of $106,769.61. Be a mover and a seconder.
George, I think you did those two numbers wrong. I think it's 353, not 335.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Read them again. Schedule number 2024-02 in the amount of $43,032. Schedule number 2024-03 in the amount of $106,769.61. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Cooper, Councillor Hughes, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Carried. 12, closed meetings, there is none. 13, business arising from closed meetings, there is none. 14, confirmation bylaw, draft bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2024-08 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council of the corporation of the town of Cobalt taken at the first, second, and third time this 20th day of February 2024, and further that the said bylaw be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. Need a mover and a seconder? Councillor Anderson? Councillor Cooper? Any, okay, all in favor? Carried. 15, adjournment, draft motion, be it resolved that the regular meeting of council be adjourned at 7:38 p.m. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Cooper? Councillor Hughes? All in favor? Carried.